half article is better than thousands of Buhari.
Buhari is doing the best in Nigeria.
Presidential election.
And the 2019 general elections are finally here. How has it been? How has INEC performed? What is the voter turnout like? Any crises in any parts of the country? All these and more we will be discussing here on Dance for Democracy. You're watching Rootstv Nigeria. My name is Gloria Oji Emode. And to discuss this, Awal Rafsanjani. He is the Executive Director of CISLAC. Welcome, Mr. Awal. And of course, we have Mr. Malachi Uzendu. He is an editor with Authority newspaper. Welcome to the show. All right. I'll start with you, Mr. Rafsanjani. Both of you have actually been on the field, but give us a sense of what has been going on in terms of organization of the elections by INEC and then voter turnout.
Thank you very much. I think many Nigerians, really were waiting for this very important day, to come. And that is why, as we had predicted earlier on that it was going to be a massive turnout, we have actually been proving right. Many Nigerians have come out as early as 7 o'clock. In fact, in some, states where our colleagues have reported, people came as early as 6 o'clock just to tell you how prepared they are to come out and vote. Now, in some states, there are some, delay of getting INEC, with the, materials, in time. So therefore, voting didn't start, in good time.
Do you have an example of some of those states?
Yes, yeah. For example, in some part of Lagos, also in Kano Municipal, also in cross Port Harcourt, particularly Okrika, there were some, instances of delay in the start of election. Even here in Abuja, in Asokoro, there was also delay. In terms of, INEC, responding to some of these challenges, INEC had earlier on indicated that, they were going to have a situation room to be able to respond to some of these, abnormalities that may be happening, and they do indeed, responded to so many of these challenges. Fortunately, again, in some places like Yobe, Borno, Sokoto, also in River State, there were incidents of killings.
Are those confirmed? Because yes, we have been seeing a lot of pictures and videos circulating on social media, but we're still waiting for authentication.
Yeah, we actually got our report, our observers in some of those states, and they do confirm to us, and they send us actually some images, of some of these incidents that took place. We are hoping that the situation will be the casualty will be very minimal, because it's not only the voting period that is the problem. Is when there's announcement, and if the announcement of the results, goes contrary to what Nigerians have actually voted, that might prompt, some violence. So, but we're hoping that that situation should not really happen.
All right, still with you, Mr. Rafsanjani. Could you give us instances of what caused some of those violence or crises in those areas? We heard in some areas of ballot boxes were burned, some tried to snatch ballot boxes. Could you confirm that for us?
Yeah, some of the places, there was allegation that police and army diverted, the materials, particularly in, River State. That was what prompted some of those problems. Some of the places like in Kano Municipal, the delay in getting the materials, is what made, some people to be agitated, to begin to think that maybe some symphony was going to happen. And in some other places, there were also, like Sokoto, there was also this incident where, a young man was also shot, and in Lagos also, there was another area where, up to 12 o'clock, INEC did not surface. So those were some of the tension, because already Nigerians were tired and they were really, prepared to come and cast their votes. And if they didn't see INEC and there's no explanation, that can prompt some, tension and that might lead us to some also thing that may not be good.
All right, Mr. Uzendu, INEC has postponed voting in areas where officials and materials arrived late. According to them, they are going to extend by the number of hours that their officials or their materials arrived late. Do you think this is going to help balance out the voting in those areas, and could it also affect counting the official tally? What are your thoughts with this extension? Will it actually balance out and solve some of the problems experienced in those polling units?
Well, from a mathematical point of view, I should think that it is normal that when you remove something, you add. But then if you look at it in reality, where I envisage some problems, because if they add perhaps 5 hours to a normal voting period, so by the time you get to that 5 hours, you see that voting will get to very close to the early times of the night. And then where you normally have issues are when you are doing the sorting and counting of votes, and which will now happen at night. And there are no generators in most of the polling stations. So we envisage that there could be more crises in those areas, except if they deploy more policemen from areas where voting had finished, and then policemen that are also reasonable, because from the field reports where you find some policemen and military compromising themselves, then you wouldn't know the kind of caliber of policemen or security officials that they will send to those places.
Which is quite interesting, because I was about to come to that in a bit. The security operatives, for example, we had some people, we heard people who were complaining that they were stopped by security operatives from going to their polling units. They were harassed, even with their PDCs, and some people who were observers, they were harassed. Is this just an isolated incident, or have you also been getting these reports across various polling units or across various areas in Nigeria?
Well, where you have such incidents are not too many, but it's unfortunate that it happened in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. I know so many people who were stopped at Kubo, very close to Mogadishu barracks, most unfortunately, because prior to this election, there has been a series of trainings on the various stakeholders, including civil society organizations, including training on the media, training for security operatives, and so on and so forth. And these trainings cut across professionals from those areas, talking to the different groups. So one had expected that the military people at Kubo, in particular, shouldn't have done what they did, because they knew that there were some kind of series of disruptions in Abuja settlements. Some people were at Karumo or so many other places, and for one reason or the other, they relocated their residences. So the normal thing that had happened in previous elections, whereby you show evidence that you were going to vote and then you're allowed to pass, until the situation became almost unruly before they allowed them to pass. And I hope that the Chief of Army Staff and the other people that are responsible should be able to get to the root of that matter and then discipline those people that are there. Right. There were also incidences of what one had, what the reports that we received in Kogi State, where one of the senatorial candidates was stopped from going into Kogi State and so on. Such things shouldn't happen. It is reprehensible that you find conflicts coming from security operatives instead of security operatives being the one that should quell conflicts. There were incidences also of what my colleague has said, of ballot box snatching, where people that are in uniform, do so. Unfortunately, what you have had is that where people go in
hold on
like
a little
that.
bit. You're saying that there are incidences of ballot boxes by security officials. Security officials snatched ballot boxes.
Yes. Or they collude with talks to do so, like what happened in Rivers State. Rivers State had always been a recurring decimal. You remember the incident of one Mopol commander who did what he did, the last time in Rivers State. And this time around, we have security operatives colluding. But unfortunately, what has happened is that the top echelon of the security will deny that those people were fake. So how do the populace know who is fake or real? Now, if they now say that at the next coming election, if somebody comes with uniform, that they stop him, they will shoot them. and then there will be a bloody incident, you know, more blood. So the security should get to the bottom of it. It is not enough to tell the populace that, look, you are doing something about it, without them knowing what you have done about that. How many people were the culprits? What did you do to them?
And that brings about the confusion. Honestly, remember that it was a big controversy when President Muhammad Buhari said that ballot box snatchers are going to, he didn't use the word get shot, of course security operatives will do ruthlessly with them, in a situation where security operatives are allegedly now getting involved in that. That's a huge issue, because so who will police the police?
What we are now expecting is that, like in Oshodi, where some hoodlums came and they burnt ballot papers and so, how many of them were shot? How many were apprehended? We are not in support of somebody, you know, engaging in extrajudicial,
but at least being punished under the law.
Yes, it should be apprehended. And so, if the security people there were unable to catch them or catch any of them, then they should also tell us why they didn't do so, and they should be summarily dealt with according to their own law.
All right, let's talk about voter turnout. Let's analyze that a little bit. A lot of people had predicted that because of the postponement, there would be an increase in voter apathy, especially for those people who may have traveled last week Saturday and now having to return, make that trip again would have been difficult. A lot of reports that we're getting is that a lot of voters did turn out, but we want to hear from both of you who have actually been on the field. What is voter turnout like in places that you visited, and what do you expect when the results come out? Starting with you, Mr. Rafsanjani.
Yeah, like I said earlier on, you know, we are very impressed with the voter turnout despite the threats, and the counter threat by politicians across. And Nigerians really determined to make sure that they exercise their fundamental right, because this is the opportunity they have to make sure that they vote in people that they think they can help bring about good governance that will ensure that issues of poverty and employment, issues of criminality, kidnapping, and armed bandits, as well as general insecurity, insurgency is going to be addressed. So it is only through this that they can be able to vote in people, or return people they think they can actually do this work. So nobody wants to lose this opportunity. That's one. Number two, a lot of people also, they feel that this is their obligation to make sure that they exercise their fundamental rights. Again. So it is an opportunity that comes every 4 years, and people want to really, do that, and that's really helped. But more particularly, civil society organizations, we have actually, mobilized a lot of Nigerians to come out and exercise their fundamental right. So that is why you see this, turnout, and then again, the contention, between the two
main
political parties was, it's been very high, and that is, what informs also a lot of people to come out to make their own choice.
Interesting. What about reports of smart card readers not being able to function at certain polling units? You were out there. We got some reports of that, but is it widespread, or what's the percentage like, if you have that information?
No, from the report that we've been getting and from the observation that I have personally gone around, yes, there has been some incidents on some of the, in some of the places where the card reader, were not really working. Yes. But I think, they had also, pick up. So it's not as if completely there was a total, breakdown of these card readers. They have actually taken up, and INEC can always make backup, provision, just to make sure that everybody that has been registered and accredited and has come to the polling unit in time, will be allowed to do that.
But I'm sorry to cut you short because we're running out of time. There were people we met on the field who actually said they had to be accredited manually.
Well, yeah, the incident is not a widespread issue. There are some pockets of those complaints, and we do also immediately inform INEC, because INEC has a situation room where they also entertain some of these issues. So as problems comes, INEC is ready to fix it, and with the collaboration and the support of civil society giving them information at hand, they are able to quickly fix some of those problems.
Mr. Uzendu, we also got reports from people who said they couldn't locate their polling units even when they used the INEC polling unit locator. They were still finding it difficult. Did you get those kinds of reports?
Yeah, it happened specifically at people that went to Total Filling Station directly opposite the first headquarters. They had to relocate to AYA after a while. And then what we now had was that INEC said the ballot that were cast before the relocation should be cancelled, because when they moved to the AYA, people said, no, you cannot use this ballot box. There are some voters' cards already put inside there that we cannot vote. So they sorted it out. But then, just like Rafsanjani said, what I observed, because I voted, look at my finger, I voted. So what we discovered is that, accreditation has two key processes. One is the confirmation of the voter's card, and then the other one is confirmation of the biometrics. Now, from what I observed and what happened around my polling unit at the city center, is that 90% of the card readers couldn't authenticate the voters, but were able to confirm the voters' card. So if you come, it will read the voter's card, confirm that your image is there, but then will not confirm your biometrics. So that's why you have the greatest problem. But because of the way they did it, so what they now did was you thumbprint their register, and then you put your telephone numbers. I hope they will contact us so that we tell them also what happened, so they can take corrections.
We hope that happens in just
and then again, one thing that I observed in previous elections, because the youths were the major victims and traders, what they would do would be to convert the roads to football arena. Somehow, surprisingly, this year, it didn't happen. Even the recreation centers and even a school football field where they normally go, in a kind of nonchalant attitude. So I will give kudos to mainly civil society organizations, the media, because the political party didn't do much in terms of political, voter enlightenment. And National Orientation Agency failed woefully in doing their job. Ministry of Information also failed. But the media and the public and the civil society organizations were up to task, and they did a marvelous job. I think they should be encouraged.
Interesting. We're almost rounding up our conversation right now, but I'm going to put a controversial question to you, and it's very important that I get your thoughts on this. Some people have predicted that the election, the race, the presidential race in particular, is going to be very, very fierce and very close in terms of the counting. Some people have even predicted that it could be inconclusive after the first count. Mr. Rafsanjani, in 30 seconds, do you believe that? Do you see indications of that?
Yeah, I think it's very possible that this election is going to be very contentious. Nobody, can predict a winner because of the hype that this election is. So it's very possible that we may not have a winner at this instant. Now,
even from what we have observed from the polling stations, the margins are very, minimal. So it's too close to call, kind of election between the major two key players in that
especially in the presidential election.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rafsanjani and Mr. Uzendu, for taking our time to talk to us at Rootstv Nigeria. We want to know your experiences at the polling units. If you voted, please give us those thoughts and comments on the comment section of this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page. This is Dance for Democracy on Rootstv Nigeria. My name is Gloria Oje Emadi. Stay with us.
Half article is better than thousands of Buhari.
Buhari is doing the best in Nigeria.
presidential election.